Hello and welcome back to Valence League. We are going into a game 3 here between Afreeca, Phreaks and Therapy Session. Very excited about this, Recollect. How about you? This is how you want to be spending your Thursday evening?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We got to see excellent little bit of play from both sides in that game. Therapy Session obviously ending up getting themselves the big W in the end, but it was nice to see my Q will miss sub in there, and it'll be interesting to see now the rejuvenated, shall we say, roster outside of Therapy Session, and how they can how well they'll do going into this game 3.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting early jungle matchup between the two, with My Q will miss coming in. Certainly mirrored each other for almost the first 10 minutes of the game. Every single gank was matched by the other, but Michael will miss was just able to pick up a little bit more gold off the back of those fights and snowball forward. So we'll have to see if there's any changes in priority in draft. It does appear that Afreeca Phreaks will still not have their first 3 bans, whilst Therapy Session will have all of theirs. So still likely going to see the likes of Ari and Thresh taken away as power picks for the opponents.
Yep, the main one trick's being banned away. We did see the Lucian ban again last time around. It'll be interesting to see whether or not we see the same 3 go through again, or whether or not we'll see potentially pivots into some of the picks from this game. Personally, I don't think there was anything in particular that I think is worth banning from the side of the Afreeca Phreaks, at least in the most recent game. You could potentially make an argument for the Galio or Udyr lock-ins, because they both seemed fairly solid, but outside of that, there's nothing really I think that is worth banning. So I'd say just sort of stick with the same bans as game 1, or game 2 rather.
Yeah, I'm curious with Therapy Session being on the red side this game as to whether or not they want to take away the Kai'Sa in the banning phase, as Afreeca will have first pick, and obviously not having any bans, it's likely that the Kai'Sa makes it through otherwise. So interesting to see where the first pick priority is placed. Last time around, it was on the Thresh when Afreeca were on the blue side, but that was due to Therapy Session not having any bans. So we're in a little bit of a new situation this time around.
Yeah, with the likelihood of the Thresh being off the table, we will probably be seeing that new ban. New pick, sorry. I don't really think that I want to see Kai'Sa priority. But it's an awkward situation if you are on the side of the Afreeca Phreaks, because, as we said before, Bullbag doesn't necessarily like to play the Senna, which is the most well-known counter into this Kai'Sa pick, at least that's strong in the current meta, and the Jhin didn't necessarily seem to be very powerful in that matchup. I understand that a lot of that was to do with the support matchup, but at the same time, it didn't feel as though there was anything really proactive happening on this pick, so I don't want to see the Jhin again. If that means you have to pilot the Kai'Sa, then fair enough, but it feels a little bit awkward to have the first pick champion like that, because you're unable to play the counter picks.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether we see the Senna at all this series. Really, I was expecting it to be quite a prevalent pick on this patch. So far, we've not seen any picks or bans towards it. We are seeing the Thresh get taken away straight away from shots. No big surprise there. Also, wasn't too big of a fan of the Blitzcrank myself. It did quite a decent amount of work for them in the mid game, but once you move towards that late game and you've got a Swain, Alistair, Olaf combo, you don't really want to be hooking any of them.
Yeah, definitely not really on the list of champs you would want to pick. And the weird thing about that was that the Blitzcrank I believe was actually the last pick.
Yeah,
on red side, wasn't it? So they counter-picked themselves with the worst champion they could possibly pick into the composition they were playing against. So, which to me actually is a weird thing. It makes me wonder whether shots is only countable on these hook engage supports. Because we saw the Thresh get banned away, and for that reason the Blitzcrank came through, but it didn't seem like the Blitzcrank was such a great pick into what we saw. So that might potentially be a champion pool limitation here for shots. We'll have to see whether or not he does end up picking up the Blitzcrank again, or if we're going to something like a Nautilus or a Leona, or if we'll actually get to see some flexibility come through from the support.
Yeah, we did see the Nautilus ban come through last time, so clearly on the side of Therapy, they do believe that his champion pool is kind of mitigated to those engaged supports, as it is going to be the same bans this time around: Thresh, Ari, and Lucian, and we will get the Kai'Sa first pick. So despite the nerfs on 11.4, Ballbag still feeling confident on the champion. Is going to see the Swain straight away this time. Last time around, the Swain was left until the second round, but clearly worried that it will be taken from the bans, and Mikey will miss once again on the Olaf.
Yep, going to get themselves up that powerful pick as well. Two of their two probably best picks from the last game. We'll have to see whether or not they can hard carry through this one again. Looks like we're going to see Kai'Sa Alistar. Be interesting to see that because obviously the Alistar was paired up with the Kai'Sa in the last game. But it was the opposite way for the opposite team last time around. We see Hecarim. Okay, decent pivot here from the Apple Man, showing a little bit more of that champion pool.
Yeah, should be an interesting matchup into the Olaf. Does require a little bit of snowballing ordinarily, Hecarim. It's one of the things that's kept it out of the jungle pool in professional play. Does need to kind of get that early Trinity Force or Divine Sundra to be able to make it into the mid-game comfortably, as it looks as though we will see the Alistar be the final pickup here from the side of Afreeca. As we said in the previous game, brilliant combination in the bot lane. Great early power as well. Although it does appear that Gandalf's Morgana has been left open. Fairly solid pick into the Alistar.
Yeah, the awkward thing for the Morgana matchup is, though, that you have to max Black Shield, otherwise it's possible to break it with maximum rank on the headbutt, so the Pulverize will go through. So hopefully Gandalf will know that little tidbit of knowledge there and max the Black Shield in this game in particular. If he does do so, it will be a little bit difficult to engage, and shots will have to look for multi-person knock-up so that the Black Shield only affects one target.
Yeah, and we're going to see the only two bans possible coming out from Afreeca here. It's interesting to see whether they will be pinching the ADC or mid lane pools here. So it's either Fist or Worth Dying For that are going to be punished here. It's actually going to be the Caitlyn coming out first. So I want to remove that kind of old school combo of the Morgana binding into Caitlyn trap away from the red side.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation here because we did see the Caitlyn Morgana lane get played last time in game 1, but it felt as though the Caitlyn wasn't necessarily that good from Worth Dying For. So personally, I would have preferred to see the Orianna banned away, which, well, there we go. I guess it's being banned from the opposite side. Or one of the other champions that Fist has shown. The big one I would think of here would actually be the Galio. I think the Galio ban would be somewhat effective here, as he showed quite the, I wouldn't necessarily say prowess, but there were some bright sparks there for Fist when he did play that Galio in game 1.
Yeah, and Galio can pair up very nicely with the Olaf, Ragnarok your way into the backline, and then take the heroic entrance from there. Equally could work into the blue side composition, though, with the Hecarim Ultimate and Alistar engaged. It looks as though we may be getting a Jinx here for Worth Dying For. So the health loss was reverted on this patch, so back to an early health of around 610 instead of 550. So Jinx's early game has been helped out an awful lot on this patch. So just the mid lane left to pick for Fist, but his Echo is still available.
It absolutely is on the table, and we do see Shen lock in, so potentially have a hard dive bot lane composition on the table, or a 1-4/1-3-1 composition.
Sorry, it was actually Helicon with the Echo, and that is actually going to be picked up there. So we might actually just get the Galio in response, as you mentioned previously. So,
yep. So Fist gets himself the Galio, which can do quite well with the Olaf and the Swain. I'd imagine the Echo will still outscale Galio in a side lane, so we do have the 1-4 potential here. For the side of the Afreeca Phreaks. We do have the Shen into Swain. I imagine that Swain will win that one pretty convincingly because it's a ranged versus melee matchup. So generally, ranged melee matchups are ranged favored early on. And I'd imagine that the Swain, being a drain tank, will be pretty happy to sort of get himself the Liandry's and the Demonic Embrace and just sort of suck Shen for his entire health bar by popping the ulti. And then popping the Shen. So we'll have to wait and see how that matchup goes, at least on the side lane. From a team fighting perspective, this is going to be really hectic. The there's not a lot of consistent setup for either of the teams in terms of making the other team grouped up. You have Hecarim that spreads everyone apart. You have Alistar who just prays they're grouped, and the same with the Echo. Galio doesn't exactly have anyone who's going to be grouping the enemy up either, so fights are probably going to be all over the place, and we'll just have to see who sort of mechanically plays it better.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether Gandalf will be able to pick off some of these champions earlier with the Dark Binding. Seems like that's what the Morgana is going to be wanting to achieve here. We will be getting into game in a couple of minutes' times, but let's take a look at this this top lane matchup. You mentioned about the Swain just being able to drain down the Shen, but it'd be interesting to see whether Hayam Sol is going to make any of these cross-map plays with the likes of the Hecarim, which it can synergize so well with the Stand United.
Yep, absolutely. Shen generally likes to neutralize his lane and go fairly even, and then utilize the power of the Stand United to make plays around the map. That's usually the main reason why you'd pick this, and it's kind of why I said that I think that this composition is suited for bot lane diving, because you have the ability to put Shen on top of the Hecarim as he ults into the backside, and then obviously once the Stand United completes, you then have the Shadow Dash taunt to come through, so combine that with the potential of Alistar Headbutt Pulverize and all of Kaiser's burst damage, you have the recipe for a very scary 4-man or 5-man level 6 dive on the bot side. So potentially that could be a early aggressive route that the side of the Phreaks could exploit if they choose to do so. Having said that, that does require quite a bit of coordination, so we'll have to wait and see whether or not they're willing to go for that one. Alternatively, they do have fairly decent matchups across the board. They are struggling a little bit in that top side, but mid and bot they should be okay to sort of scale up, and the first couple of dragon fights will be the big decider. I think Drake 3 will be very important.
Yeah, I definitely think we're really going to see the communication of these teams have to be on point with, you know, some of these like Stand United players into Hecarim or the Galio into the Ragnarok of the Olaf. So it'd be interesting to see whether the synergy of these teams is strong enough to be able to pull out the win in quite a high pressure game for both of these sides. You've got Therapy Session trying to break away from that middle of the pack, currently sitting at 2-1, want to extend themselves into the second half of this season towards the top. While Afreeca, this is only the second time they've taken a game in a series, and they are yet to take a full series. So to make any impact on Division 2A, they will be wanting to pick up this game. We will be getting into the loading screen in 20 seconds, so we'll have to take a look at runes and summoners. Unlikely to see anything too odd. I'll be interested to see whether it's lethal tempo or fleet footwork on the Jinx, but will likely be the Halo Blades coming out from the Kaiser.
Yeah, the big one for me is actually going to be whether or not we see the Phase Rush or the Conqueror come through from the Appleman or the Hecarim. I've seen variations of both piloted by different players, depending on mostly personal preference. I think I would prefer to see the Conqueror, given how tanky the enemy team is and how likely the fights are going to go for a long period of time. But looks like the Phase Rush is coming through, so the Appleman will have to be making a lot of aggressive early plays to really make good use of this rune choice.
And it will actually be Conqueror coming out from the Jinx. Was not quite expecting that. Kind of understand, you know, stacking it up with the Q does make sense, but I would have thought that lethal tempo would have been the better option in this scenario.
Yeah, I've seen a few high-low AD carries trying the Conqueror on the Jinx. Personally, I haven't actually tried it that much, so I can't really comment as to how effective or how powerful overall it is, because honestly I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see whether the damage being pumped out and the healing that comes through from that Conqueror is going to be enough to make it a worthwhile rune choice, or whether this is just a mistake of using u.gg for all of your runes and only selecting the challenger panel. No, I messed up.
Yeah, Sam, I'll just head back.
Yep, I'm on 10 now, sorry.
I'll just be 1 second, sorry. Okay, I'm ready. There we go, and apologies about that, ladies and gentlemen, but at least we both made the mistake this time around.
Yeah.
But we are going to be heading into what looks like possibly both teams invading, and as you mentioned in the previous game with the Alistair Kai'Sa being heralded by the other team, we are seeing the exhaust ignite combination, so no heal down here for the Afreeca bot lane.
Yep, looks like they're going for the variation that I was talking about before. That was my personal preference. Generally, it's just because I feel like exhaust will keep you alive much better against assassins who can dive into you, and the ignite is going to allow you to have more aggression in the early laning phase. So that's generally the reason why I prefer that combination. Heal exhaust to me is just more about saying, hey, we're going to scale into the game, and realistically, if you're piloting that Kai'Sa, you want to be playing really aggressively, as best you can in those early stages, utilizing that hail of blades. If you're going to scale, you might as well just pick the press the attack.
Yeah, and we are seeing, I really wish we could get the Benny Hill music out here. Both teams just running around each other in the early game. Some vision going to be placed here in the blue side jungle, but it doesn't look as though either team is going to come across the other. And it does look as though they may be moving back towards the blue buff of the Olaf. No, in fact, he's just deciding I will just take the red buff instead, so it'll be interesting to see whether we see any clashes as both bot lanes move down towards their respective waves.
What is worth noting is the wards that were placed, though. We do have one ward placed here in the red side wolf area, so that will catch out any potential gank sort of happening in any pathing that happened early on. But it looks like they're going to actually meet each other at the tri-bush, so this might be an early fight here, a little 3v3 action coming in, jumping in.
They do not know that Olaf is going to be there. It's going to be the Undertow landing onto the Hecarim. It's going to be a flash pulverized from the Alistair, but the Morgana is just going to flash out. Will be taken down by the Hecarim, it seems, yes. And the Olaf could be chased down here by the Alistair, although it doesn't look as though they will have the damage. It's actually going to be the charge coming out from the Hecarim. Will decide against the dive after taking a tower shot. Very difficult early game there for Therapy Session as they lose the support.
Yeah, so that's going to be a little bit of extra XP coming here for my Cure Miss as he helps Worth Dying for catch the wave. But yeah, a little bit of misplay, shall we say, here, as Gandalf does end up going down in the 3v3, and that's going to be first blood going over to the upper man on this Hecarim, and does manage to make that phase rush in the other game work out well for himself.
Yeah, and excellent flash pulverize coming out there from the Alistair, able to knock up two members early on in that skirmish, which was pivotal. And actually, we're going to see the taunt coming out onto Helicon from Fist with that Aftershock, able to win an awful lot of these early trades. So we're going to see the Olaf come back down, Undertow onto the... it's actually going to be the Black Shield onto the Olaf. It's going to force the teleport out of the Shen, which is actually going to be cancelled there from the grass from Swain. So excellent play there from the top laner from Therapy. So great little exchange there on the red side, but we're actually going to see the charge onto the level 2 Olaf, but it's a level 3 Hecarim. Even though he's low HP, it doesn't look as though anything is going to be able to be achieved. It's actually going to be the Alistair that picks up the kill, and even more is happening. We're going to see a flash taunt coming out from Fist, who's able to pick up a kill due to his priority in that mid lane over Helicon.
Yep, really good stuff there from both sides. Both the junglers end up getting punished for mistakes in a lack of priority situations. First of all, Shots comes in and is able to make sure that there's no potential. The Apple Man ends up going down in a trade between junglers, and in the end, the trade only comes down because Fist burns his own flash to guarantee that his jungler at least gets an assist for the last play.
Oh, great headbutt pulverize onto the Jinx. Going to take an awful lot of damage, but we'll be able to return quite a lot onto the Alistair. Wasn't able to get the final auto attack from the Kai'Sa passive to really punish this Jinx.
Yeah, Shame accidentally altered a minion there. There's no mana here on the Echo. Has only just popped a biscuit to get a little bit left. But Helicon's really getting smacked about here by Fist. Decent CS lead, though.
Surprising that Fist was able to get the priority in that lane, given that the Echo has actually gone with the minion dematerializer. You would have thought the Echo was able to move first in that matchup. We are also seeing a slight CS differential in the top lane, but once that wave is pushed in, you have to think it will even out somewhat. As it does look as though it is going to be a Mountain Soul early on here. You have to think the Hecarim does normally have the priority over that. The Olaf does have the priority in terms of early dragon takes, but the Hecarim is going to be caught on a ward in the top lane here. We'll be able to knock the Swain back, but the actual charge has run out, but misses the pull back, and the Hecarim will be able to finish it off with the Q. Also going to clear out the vision while he's there. So great gank in the top lane from the Hecarim.
Now this is a concept I like to talk about quite a bit, and it's the concept of cutting your losses in certain situations. There is no world in which Sapig is ever getting out there. So in that situation, I feel as though flashing is just going to make the next couple of minutes harder for you to play out, especially given the fact that you are playing a low mobility champion on this Swain, and the chances of Hecarim now coming top to potentially punish using his charge and the Shadow Dash coming through from the Shen. There should be enough damage for them to kill this Swain when he doesn't have any of his sort of health-based items. So, kind of puts himself in a difficult situation for the next couple of minutes for basically no reason. That's why I say that you need to know when to cut your losses and just give away the kill in that situation.
Yeah, and we are actually going to see the Appleman heading over to that dragon. Going to get caught out by my Q will miss. And Galio does have the ultimate available, so have to be careful. We're actually seeing somebody disconnect from the game. Hopefully that's just a spectator thing, as a pause is going to come through. And the game should resume momentarily. But the heroic entrance is available, but priority seems to be in the favour of the blue side bot lane.
Absolutely an opportunity to contest if they like to go for it, but looks like Fist is going to instead recall. Does have the option to teleport. Good Black Shield to deny the pulverize.
Yeah, it looks as though it's going to be a smite fight. We are going to see the Stand United coming out, but it's going to be heroic entrance onto 3. And will they get taken down? No, it looks as though actually both junglers are going to go down, and the dragon has reset. Brilliant headbutt pulverize onto 2 members, but it looks like the Jinx Zap is going to come through and take down the kill, and the Kai'Sa is going to pick up the other mid laner. So both AD carries benefiting from this, but the dragon is not going to go down, as we are actually seeing Ballbag pinging onto it. Looks as though he wants to prepare it, ready for the Hecarim to arrive there.
And in the meantime, Sapig is getting himself 2 plates on the top side as well as a decent CS lead, so he's going to be fairly happy with the outcome. They are going to end up losing the dragon, as you do have Ballbag and the Appleman both going for this, and anyone to contest will be my Q will miss, and the Olaf not having flash is not really going to be able to enter the pit. He'll probably get slapped down by Ballbag if he tries to do so.
Yeah, he has got there in time, but you would have to think will not get out of that situation alive if he was to try and enter. And without the Ragnarok at this stage in the game, Olaf does not have the potential to run in and steal. So we will see the Scuttle also go over to the Hecarim, who does have an experience advantage at this point.
Yep, doing himself very well. Up about 2 camps or so. Over my Q will miss on this Olaf, so I'm going to be fairly happy to just sort of clear his camps, farming up until level 6, where he'll be able to potentially make a play on either the flashless Swain here on the top side, or potentially the no flashes bot lane. So a lot of options here for the Appleman as soon as he hits level 6.
Yeah, and closing in around 8-minute mark. Gold incredibly even at this point, so not an awful lot to note. Just seem as though there is a bit of a mismatch coming from the top lane, also being equaled out in the ADC and jungle roles on the blue side. So we'll see, 2 kills over to the Hecarim now. We were talking about this Hecarim needing the early kills to be able to get towards that mythic of either Divine Sundra or Trinity Force, and that seems to be exactly what's happened for the Appleman.
Doing very well for himself. Looks like Triforce components, so I imagine that's sort of the route we're going to be going this time around for the Hecarim. So far having himself a very good time. This is a really dangerous situation actually for Ballbag. He might be in a little bit of trouble because you do have stopwatch available for Gandalf. There is the chance of a dive happening here on bot side as Alistar shows top, so which will be more effective? Is the top play or the bot play?
3-man top. It's actually going to be a taunt into the Hecarim ultimate. The Drain should keep Sapig alive for a little while. It's actually not going to die. And actually it's going to be a brilliant 3-man taunt coming out from Fist. Shots is going to flash forward but not be able to take down the kill. Sol is going to slink away with just 100 HP. Brilliant fight there from Sapig and Fist to be able to win the 2v3 and come out ahead.
That's why I call them... Oh, Jinx Rocket in the top side. Jinx Rocket's coming.
And it's going to take Sol 400 HP. The Undertow's not going to hit, but it's going to be a flash taunt. Brilliant cross-map play there from Worth dying for. Sapig's likely going to get taken down here by Helsicon, and it's actually going to be the Ragnarok opening up there for the Olaf, and he's going to be able to take down the Echo. The Chrono Breaker was not enough, just kind of took him into an equally bad position, but yeah, brilliant play from Jinx and the follow-up from Fist.
So, going from the beginning, this is kind of why I call Swain the Drain Tank. He can survive for so long when he pops that ulti, just with the amount of healing he's able to do and the amount of damage he can dish out as well. Good TP from Fist means he's able to get there and land a multi-man taunt, which stalls even more time, meaning that 2 kills end up going over fairly easily. And then finally an excellent cross map Super Inferno Death. That's the wrong ability. That's 6, isn't it? It's Super Mega Death Rocket, isn't it?
Yes,
not Super Inferno Bomb. Super Mega Inferno Bomb for Ziggs. Anyway, engage here from Gandalf. Oh, but there's the Stand United.
Yeah, we're going to see the two-man heroic entrance, though, into the two-man taunt and knock-up. Shots is going to be taken down here. Oh, actually going to slink away. Will be able to be taken down by the Morgana, though. Worth dying for. Gets excited. Can actually get away. Will Ballbag be able to take him down? Yes, but he's going to be justice punched in the air. It's a double kill over to Gandalf. We'll be able to make that triple if the taunt is able to land. Trying to get the taunt through from Sol. Actually going to be able to slink away, but the tormented soil undertow should be able to take this down. Fantastic work there from Mikey Will Miss, but he's not going to be able to get out as he's going to be chased down by the rampaging Hecarim. Although it looks as though, yeah, there it is.
Yeah,
it's the final Q. And double buffs here with the Hecarim still got this experience advantage over the Olaf as well as the gold advantage. So while it was probably a net positive play for therapy session, this Hecarim is starting to get out of control.
Yeah, and again, it's another situation where Sapik is just in top lane, not really caring. Doesn't have himself the teleport to really interact anyway, but he's given himself a nice little 30 CS lead. Again, I think that's all 3 games now where Sapik has got himself a 30 CS lead. Anyway, the aggressive play comes through from shots with the Stand United over the top, but the heroic entrance comes through to sort of counter the play. And it ends up with 2 kills going over to Gandalf, not the best target to get them. But overall, it's decent for both sides, so no one's really going to complain too much, unless you're Mikey Will Miss, who ends up picking up 1 and then immediately dying as well, which, you know, as Olaf who kind of needs a snowball, not going to be ideal. But still gets to kill for himself, so no one can really be too upset about that one.
Yeah, it is also worth noting, Haim Sol blew the teleport to get back to the top lane, I believe, and the Stand United and teleport are not going to be available for this dragon fight, which is going to be happening in the next 10 to 15 seconds. So it looks as though bigger cooldowns may have been burnt on the side of Afreeca, so this could be a bit of an issue. Shot's actually in a really interesting position here, going to get caught out by multiple undertows, might have to blow the ultimate, and doesn't have flash to get out of this, so the two-man knockup is not going to achieve anything. Going to try and give this kill over to the Jinx, who could really use the gold input right now.
Deals no damage.
Yeah, this is a bit of a sketchy situation for Afreeca right now. You have to think they should just give up this dragon, particularly given they do not have any sort of teleport advantage either, as yeah, the Appleman just going to head over and take his Krugs away. We are now seeing about a 2k advantage in favour of therapy session, so a little bit of a better early game from them, as we've tended to see them be the slightly more scaling team in this series.
It's also worth noting that we are in a situation where we might be seeing 5 plates going down top here, as Sapik is really close to getting this tower. So if Sol ever leaves, the tower's just going to go down, and even then, it's probably going to go down regardless fairly soon. Nice binding.
Oh, but we are going to see Appleman coming down here, and the Jinx is going to get taken down really quickly. And it looks as though Gandalf is going to get away with that flash, but we're seeing a 1v1 in the mid lane, which is not going to amount to an awful lot, as Mikey Will Miss turns up just to throw the undertow out and leave it there. As we're seeing, it's interesting to know how that gank was actually able to be pulled off onto the Jinx, given so much red side vision in that bottom side of the map. Yeah.
There is one single route that you can potentially take, which is if you look at where the blast cone is currently by Dragon Area, there's actually only one ward and it's to the upper part, so if you go below red, you can completely avoid all vision to get a gank off. Which is either really big brain for the Appleman, or a massive oversight from the side of therapy session. I'm going to go with the second one, because to me that's like the most obvious path in the world.
Yeah.
And you could just ward to the try itself and it would be fine. But let's pretend that that isn't what happened, and that the Appleman is actually just a 5-head.
Yeah, he's now got that Trinity Force over on the Hecarim. It's going to be into the Gordrinker of Mikey Will Miss, who has not got as far ahead as he would have liked in this game. Also, not playing into as immobile of an AD carry as last game it was with the Jhin. It's going to be the binding landing onto the Olaf, as we're going to see the heroic entrance come out incredibly early. It looks as though Echo is going to be in a lot of trouble, but the Stand United is going to bring Shen in. He's actually going to chrono break away from the Jinx ultimate. Gordrink are going to heal up the Olaf, and it looks as though both teams will get away from this without losing a member. The Swain ultimate not achieving an awful lot here, but it looks as though he wants to chase even further. Does have the flash available, and it's going to land onto the Shen, and it's going to be a kill over to the Swain. So looks as though Therapy Session definitely coming out on top in here. Will likely get that mid lane tower.
Yep, really good stuff there from the side of Therapy Session, picking up the one kill, but at the very end. But they are going to be looking to get themselves the tower as well. There's going to be a bit of a defense here, but I actually think it's quite difficult to play this. You do have the Onslaught of Shadows, though.
Oh, there it is. It's going to come across. There's no Ragnarok on the Olaf, so they are going to be able to take him down, but the Hecarim is going to trade his life for it. Beautiful two-man parallel convergence coming out, but the Kai'Sa is almost caught out by the binding. The damage from this Jinx is incredible as the Grasp is going to land, and Swain is going to pick up another double kill. Never mind that 30 CS advantage that he got earlier. He's now got 4 kills.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Onslaught of Shadows hit literally no one. I don't think I saw a single member get feared. I know someone got black shielded, so potentially that person did get hit, but I didn't see the fearing animation on anyone, so I think that might have been short.
No. I think it just pushed people towards the top side of mid lane, in which case Shots was able to land the headbutt pulverize. I think it was more, I think it zoned them into...
It was a zoning ultimate.
But yeah. But
it was the zoning Hecarim ult.
Yeah, the fear definitely did not appear to land on anybody.
Yeah. It looked... Because to me, I feel like it should be the other way around, where you attempt to perform the headbutt pulverize so you can land the fear, because... Yeah. That isn't the type of fight where you want to be taking it with everyone on their team clumped up. You want to try and blow up 1 or 2 members and then disengage it whilst keeping the tower up. Because realistically, you don't have that many cooldowns left either, if you are on the side of the Afreeca Phreaks. So to me, it seems a weird order there for them to go for. Definitely a misplay.
It definitely would have been quite a good opportunity for Afreeca to fight there, with so many major cooldowns from Therapy being down because of the previous exchange. And now we're seeing the Ragnarok is back available, so this Olaf is going to become a menace once again, running into those backlines. We do have Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. Heroic Entrance is going to be available, and the majority of flashes available on the side of Therapy Session, whereas we are still missing the flash from this Kai'Sa, so the Killer Instinct is going to be vital in these upcoming fights.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see the way that Warback is able to use that one to avoid damage. And on the subject of needing to avoid damage, the Apple Man chunked really bad. Super Mega Death Rocket comes through, 1 HP on that Hecarim, and he's going to be no longer able to contest. So Dragon number 3 in this game, most likely going to go over here to the side of Therapy Session.
Yeah, probably just going to be an attempted Void Seeker steal, but should be easily blocked.
Go on, Shot, splash in there. Get in.
We've seen this be a little bit of an issue in this series so far, is the Appleman taking far too much damage prior to these objective fights. And it's cost them a number of objectives across this series. So that might be something in future series that they need to look towards.
Yeah, just reining it in a little bit, thinking a little bit more about the potential that the enemy team could just murder him and turn him into a little horse burger. They'll be a little bit more careful moving forwards. Well, I guess it was a deer burger last game, but horse burger in this one. Gotta be a little bit more careful about how he picks his fights. Just seems to like rampaging in. It's not a... Well, she can get away with it in solo queue. Can't always get away with it in a competitive environment. 5v5 comms.
Yeah, and once again, we have been seeing Therapy Session kind of winning out on the Vision game, as we're actually going to see Sabik try and take a trade here onto the Shen. Will land the Grasp and is able to pull him in, but we are going to see the Ragnarok negate the fear. You cannot win that matchup. Heroic Entrance is used. Not sure it was needed, but the stun will not land onto Helsicon as he is able to flash away. Nice binding over the wall, though, onto the Alistar, but only able to be taken down to about 50%. But with a Herald in the top lane here, this could be a push onto a tier 3 tower. They do not have the Jinx with them, though. She is pushing the bot lane, so this is still a 4v4 situation. Great 2-man pulverize, and we're going to see the taunt through the entire team. Swain is just draining everybody down, though. Nobody is touching him. Ballbag is sure to die here, and this is not a good trade for the side of Afreeca.
Yeah, the Swain just untouched, allowing himself to just sort of deal AoE damage to every single member. And the crazy thing is that even though I'm not a big fan of this split push, you do still have the global to potentially swing those type of plays. But it wasn't even used by Worth Dying for, so clearly didn't think his team would need to worry about the 4v, the 4-man fight that was breaking out for his side. Okay, please just use the minigun in your 1v1.
I think he was trying to clear the minions away, but I agree you do see many people using the wrong gun on the towers. He's able to get away there, though, with the Get Excited before the Hecarim can arrive. No Onslaught of Shadows available, so clearly felt safe enough. I think both teams now will be probably looking towards this Baron, particularly in the case of therapy sessions. We have no Dragon up for the next 2.5 minutes, and they do currently have a 7k gold lead just 20 minutes into the game.
Yep, they're happily quite far ahead, enjoying themselves a nice little 7,000 gold lead, as you say, approaching 8,000, actually doing very well for himself. Most of that gold is this top lane deficit. There's about 4,000 gold lead here for Sapig, up about 70 CS here in the top matchup, as well as all 5 kills to the 0 of Sol. Sol not even playing too bad, it's just Sapig is just massively ahead.
It's another binding onto Apple. He's having to use the shadows to get away this time, as Ragnarok is going to be blown to avoid the slow, I believe, out of the Echo. So that is going to be a major cooldown gone in case of a Baron fight. But the onslaught of shadows down on the Hecarim removes so much of the team fighting power.
So fun fact, the Fist actually just spam pinged my Q will misses Ragnarok. Because obviously the Galio thinking it was a little bit in of his jungler to immune a CC for no reason. I must say I agree. I feel like that Ragnarok was not necessarily required for the situation he found himself in. But, you know, my Q will miss showing the respect to the invisible enemy team. Not ideal.
We spoke in the start of the game about the potential for this Shen to be used in cross-map plays, but throughout the game we've really just seen it be used defensively, and it was actually the side of therapy sessions that were being proactive, and the Shen ultimate was constantly being used in a reactive sense, and that's caused the Shen to fall down, 70 CS and an awful lot of kills. So we would like to see a bit more of a proactive look from this Afreeca side.
Yeah, the big problem is that every single time they try and make a play using Hyam Sol's teleport, it seems as though Fist is already there to drop the heroic entrance over the top. So every fight they try and take using this Shen ult to gain a numbers advantage play always becomes neutral and even. And then while he's gone, Sapig just gets tower damage and CS and slowly builds up a lead for himself. And that's sort of been the story of the entire game. That's why there's such a massive deficit here in the top side.
Yeah, and it's 20 seconds here going towards this next dragon. We do have an Infernal Soul on our hands, so it's looking a little bit disgusting for the likes of an Olaf and a Jinx too. We haven't seen an awful lot out of the Jinx this game, actually. It has built quietly a 40 CS advantage, as it looks as though Afreeca looking to potentially get a trade here, using that Kai'Sa damage to be able to burn the Baron down as quick as possible.
I've seen this one before.
This has happened previously in Game 1 of the series, but will therapy sessions be able to react in time? They were not in Game 1. Looks as though the Galio is going to push them away from it, but it's the Swain teleport in behind them. Will they be able to take the engage? It's a parallel convergence in from the Echo, but the Swain is on the backline, taking down 3 of them all at once. The heroic entrance he's going to join. Looks as though Shots is going to go down on the Alistair, and the Kai'Sa has also died on the top side of the map, as well as the Apple Man. And it looks as though it's going to be a Baron over to therapy sessions.
Swain the Dream Tank keeping 3 people at bay as the rest of his team slowly but surely picks up a fight, and then we have the heroic entrance over the top. When Sapig's in a little bit of trouble, Fist comes in for the assist, and they happily pick up 2 kills there, as well as Shots dying on the fight on the bottom side. So they get their cake and they eat it too, getting themselves both of the neutral objectives as well as a nice little team fight win to give themselves a 10,000 gold lead.
Yeah, I respect the attempt from Helicon to do his best on the backline with the parallel convergence, but at this point, just doesn't have the same effect as this Swain.
Yeah, realistically, in terms of buying time, you're almost certainly going to prefer the Swain, who is going to have that natural tankiness thanks to the Demonic Ascension that comes through. As well as just the items he's built. He's already got himself the Zonias for a nice little bit of resistance against the Hecarim, against Bullbag to an extent, and against Sol. all of which are going to be dealing a decent amount of physical damage. And then the amount of damage he'll deal thanks to the percent max health damage coming through from Demonic Embrace and Leandries means that as long as he is buying time, he's dealing damage. And while he's dealing damage, he's healing. And while he's healing, he's buying time. It creates a nice little triangle of things that this Swain can do. And if you don't blow him up, he's going to slowly but surely whittle you down. And that's kind of what we've been seeing in the last couple of fights.
Yeah, and once again, we're not seeing any healing reduction coming out of Afreeca, which is a huge issue for them, particularly playing into an Olaf and a Swain. And once again for High Am Sol, we're seeing the Abyssal Mask first item as they're going to try and throw 2 men towards the Swain here, as well as the San United. Will 4 people be enough to take down the Swain? We're going to see the teleport in. Super Mega Death Rocket is going to take down a kill from the distance, but the Olaf is also going to pick up the Kaiser as the grasp is going to land onto the Swain, and it looks as though the flash binding will not be enough, but the slow from the undertow is enough there to take down the enemy top laner. Do you think they're going to end here, Apple?
It's definitely a possibility. I would imagine they have the damage. The question is whether the respawn time is quick enough, and I don't think it's any sort of wave clear, so I would be absolutely down to go for this if I was in the game. I reckon you try this one. Therapy Session looking to make the same call. They're going to be ending it. There's Nexus Tower number 1. Here's Nexus Tower number 2.
Yes, Sapig says send more men next time. 5 was not enough, as actually the respawn time is going to come through. The Demonic Ascension, there we go. We are going to see the Olaf trying to end the game, and I believe that is going to be the win over to Therapy Sessions. They're going to make it 3-1 in Division 2A, as Phreaks still looking for that series win down at the bottom, 0-4.
Yep. It's just the same sort of issues showing up the entire game here for the side of the Phreaks. That whenever they try and make a proactive play, they're just getting answered here by the Galio, and they don't have the damage to deal with the Swain because they don't have the healing reduction to stop him from healing up and stalling for as long as he was doing so. And in the end, that was the sort of the big factor that sort of meant this game was lost for the side of the Phreaks.
Yeah, it was a bit of a painful second and third game there for Phreaks after what was such a promising start in Game 1, particularly winning the game in which they didn't have any bans, although that was the game they were able to get their hands on the likes of Thresh and Ari, so perhaps that is the key to defeating them. It does appear we may have an interview coming up, so I will keep you guys updated on that. But let us know in chat, who was your MVP of this series? I have to say, I think Sapig has been probably the most consistent performer of Therapy Sessions.
Yeah, I have to say, he was pretty much up 30 CS in every single lane. And whilst I understand part of that was due to global plays being forced by Sol, it is still a point that is worth mentioning. Throughout this series, it felt as though most of the side of Therapy Session played fairly well, especially in their wins. So it will definitely be quite difficult to pick a quote-unquote MVP, but I would probably give it to Sapig as well.
Fantastic, and then we'll just get some information on this interview. Moving forward to Week 5 for both of these teams, looks as though Therapy Sessions will be taking on 0-2, who are currently the undefeated team in the league. And I don't believe that Phreaks are playing. They will be playing next in Week 6 against Fireflies, who are currently 1-1, one of the teams that they could potentially compete with in the standings.
Yeah, hopefully the Phreaks can increase their win rate in Week 6. At the moment, currently on par with TSM at Worlds last year. But we'll have to wait and see whether or not they're able to bounce back and then pick up the second win, because I believe they've only actually won 2 games the entire split. I believe this was their second.
Yes, it was a little bit of an improvement on previous weeks, but still not quite able to break into that series win.
Yeah, there were some good signs, though. Definitely some good signs for the Phreaks, but yeah, just missing that last little bit of coordination, and I think some of the plays were a little bit off in terms of the ordering of spells and target focus. But if they work on those issues, I definitely see them having a chance of winning that game on Week 6. The next game for Therapy Session will be very important for the overall standings, because as we said, this is the first and I now believe second place teams playing against each other. And the implications for that for the end of this the season is obviously huge. Whoever wins that one is probably going to be in the driving seat to really win the whole of this group.
Yeah, definitely, and we will be able to hopefully have an interview with my Q will miss the jungler for the side of therapy sessions. So if you have any questions in chat, please let us know, and we'll maybe be able to pick a couple of those out. But yeah, moving forward, I definitely think that objective controller was kind of been a huge problem for the side of Afreeca Phreaks. I think if they need something to look at as a team, I think particularly Appleman needs to focus on getting that vision control around the Dragon Pits to not lose so much health in some of these skirmishes that are occurring, 10, 15 seconds before these interactions.
Yeah, definitely felt as though the Appleman was getting caught out before each of the fights getting chunked. At one point, having to give away the dragon because he was 1 HP and couldn't contest. Another point just getting caught out and dying. It happened several times throughout the series, and it is a big problem point for the player. And part of that is that you need to go in to get your vision control as a team. It's not generally a one-man situation, because if you do look for vision on your own, there's 5 people in a bush, you're going to die. That's sort of just how it goes. Unless, of course, you're playing Swain and you're massively ahead, in which case apparently you don't die and just kill everyone. But in general, you have to play it, every part of the game as a team. Vision control is a team section. You need to have your sweeper up, and you got to go as a group to get that vision control. And they felt like the team didn't necessarily play around their priority to then move into the jungle to get vision. They just sort of went. It's not necessarily something that you... It takes time to work on. As a team, understanding when your timers are to sweep out vision, and understanding when you need to start getting that vision control. But hopefully, it's something that they can work on as a team. And even if they can't get it sorted by the end of the season, it's definitely something that they should prepare for any future sort of stuff they do as a group.
Fantastic. We're going to be moving over to our interview with my Q will miss. So hi there. How are you doing?
Not bad, you.
Fantastic. Yeah, doing all well here, but had a really nice evening watching your series unfold. First question, I just kind of wanted to ask a little bit about the team atmosphere moving into game 2. Obviously, you came in after the team was already 0-1 down. What was it like going into that situation, halfway through a series?
It wasn't that bad because we're really playing just for a bit of fun. Like, we're all friends. So... like, we was a bit more confident because we had just all our team there finally, sort of thing. So they seemed alright. Like, they knew that they could win their lanes, and that we just needed that 5th man for communication, I think.
Yeah, makes an awful lot of sense. Thinking back to the first game, and in fact both games, you were able to get your hands on the Olaf Swain. Were you surprised moving into game 2 that they allowed that combination through again?
I mean, I think for the second game we played, it was more. I think they would have banned it, but because they didn't have bans for the first 3 bans, I think that was the cheat. I suppose they didn't just pick up Olaf or something though, because he's pretty strong still, and he's not that hard to play, to be honest. So, I think Olaf or the Swain would have been a better pick than picking the Kai'Sa instead.
Yeah, makes sense. I'll hand you off to Recollect if you have any questions.
In particular, it seemed as though there was a lot of sort of, how can I describe it, there was a lot of counter picks you were playing towards your top side. Pretty much every game, I think Sapig got himself a counter pick matchup.
Yeah.
Is that part of your team identity, or do you like giving? Is that generally how you function in order to give him a winning lane? Is that sort of your main
I would
goal
say
to success? Because it felt as though a lot of globals were being used by the opposite team whilst he was sort of staying in his lane, just pushing, getting towers and getting CS leads.
yeah.
On this matchup.
It's just I do think he's probably for damage and stuff like that. He's probably one of our best players. He knows what he's doing. So I think we're just pumping in gold to him, letting him get the towers and stuff, and so then he just becomes a monster at the end. Basically, he wasn't able to get killed because of how much resources he had.
Yeah, it just becomes like the drain tank that never dies.
Yeah, and then we can just follow up on that with like Olaf R, Galio R, so we can just run at them after.
Yeah, to sum that up, actually, in that final game, Sapig was able to gain 12.4k gold, while Sol on the Shen only had 6.5, so almost half the gold in the top lane. So it was a very rough matchup. Looking at your opponents, is there any advice you would, you said kind of playing a bit more for fun, and you won't be facing them now likely for the rest of this split. Any advice that you'd kind of give over to them?
Don't kick me and Gandalf Gaybeard out the team. There we go.
Oh, okay. So there's some past drama there. Was not aware of that.
Well, we used to be in the team, and then they said we're disbanding, and then looked for the roles.
Oh, okay.
Of what we played, so they sorted.
Oh, I mean, I wish I'd known that going into the cast. There's a huge narrative there.
That's a move.
That's why we wanted to win that game. And it's like with the game before when we played OP Nerds. I used to play for that team 2 years ago. They used to be in the league called Cerberus.
Okie dokie. So yeah, definitely a lot of history going on here.
Yeah.
You're a tournament veteran then, are you?
I only played like 2 years ago, like once.
Okay, right, sorry.
Yeah. I played for OP Nerds like 2 years ago when they first started.
So moving into next week, you're playing 0-2, currently undefeated. Are you feeling confident moving into that matchup?
A little. Obviously, they're pretty good. They're undefeated, but I'm sure if we just find out a game plan, we can beat them.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations again on the win today, and thank you very much for the interview. I think we'll be wrapping up the stream here. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for Recollect, my co-caster today.
Yep, thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to any sort of one of these we get to do again in the hopefully near future.
Yeah, fantastic. And check out, I think it'll be Monday is the next set of games over on streams 1 and 2 at 7 o'clock as always. So thank you very much for watching, and good night.